Okay, today's April 6, 2023. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. Today on the agenda, we've got a few items. If you have anything additional that you would like to discuss, please feel free to add to the agenda. The link to the agenda document is in the calendar invite. First up, we're going to go through the 127 planning spreadsheet and get a status update of where the tasks are that the SIG committed to for 127. The most recent past deadline on April 4th was docs completion for 127 and blog PR ready. So hopefully we got those done. And the next upcoming deadline is the 127 release itself, which will be happening next week, followed by KubeCon the week after. So with that, I'll go ahead and switch to our spreadsheet and we can get a status update for the items for 127. So first we have recovering from resize failure. Do we have him on the call? Doesn't look like it. Anyone have a status update for this item?
I think it has slipped to the next release.
Okay, so I'll say push to 128. We'll get that moved over. Thank you, Jan. The next item is issues related to assuming mount volumes or mount points. Any update on that one? Okay, I'll mark that as no update. Moving on to the next one, we have volume group API. Xing?
Yeah, so we do have several PRs out for review, implementation of the controller, the webhook, and also in the CSI driver host path. And also the blog PR is ready for review. There is also a doc PR that's in the CSI docs repo. That's also, I think that still need to be marked as a work in progress because we need to get the sidecars released first.
Got it. Okay. Looks like it's on track to be able to be released along with 127.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Xing. Next is provision volume from volumes from cross namespace snapshot PVC continue alpha work. I think this has been no update for a while. Anyone have an update on this one? Okay, we'll go ahead and mark that one as no update. I suspect we'll move that one to 128. Next is CSI volume health, adding additional metrics and or events. This was also no update. Anything new from anybody on the call on this?
It's still no update.
Okay. Next is change block tracking design. Anything new on this one?
Yeah, it's still design discussions and doing POCs.
Okay. And next is the new RWO access mode, adding end-to-end tests to move to beta. Remaining item here was blog post. Anything new here?
I'm not sure if Michelle is talking.
I mean, the blog post is under review and ready to go. I think we can probably just mark this as done.
Awesome. Okay, next item is runtime assisted mounting. Is Deep on the call by any chance? Nope. Okay, I'll mark this one as no update. Next is CSI proxy for Windows transition to privileged containers. Any update on this one? I think last status here was this is going to be on pause unless someone else takes over. Binary blob not open source, question mark. Okay. That is no update.
One quick question about this.
Sure.
I thought the feature was already GA'd in 126. So what is the work at this point? Is this on the storage provider side, or is this something something different?
Anybody want to give a summary for the current CSI proxy work? Michelle, Jan?
I think we wanted to update all the CSI drivers out there under Kubernetes umbrella.
I think though also I think I don't know, Jan, if you're familiar with, but I think that there was someone that had some potential security concerns about the new model, about the privileged container model. So I don't know if we need to work that out first. Like I think the code, I'm not sure if the code is actually merged yet.
Got it. Yeah, I think the reason I was asking was because if it is individual CSI drivers that need to transition, I think that's a longer process, right? Is there code in the CSI side that needs to be done for
I
this?
think if what I remember correctly was the CSI proxy is out, you can use it, no problem.
Yeah.
The challenge was the CSI proxy relies on effectively sitting as a binary exposed on the host without a container. And so the change here now is that apparently Windows supports privileged containers. And we want to follow a similar model to CSI on Linux, I think for security related concerns. So you can think of this as the evolution of CSI proxy that's effectively going to replace CSI proxy with proper, privileged containers. I think that's the additional work to be done here, if I remember correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Jan, Michelle.
So is the intent to make a better CSI proxy that runs as a container, or is the intent to replace the CSI proxy entirely and have CSI drivers do what it does already?
I forget the discussions on this. My recollection is that we wanted to replace the CSI proxy. The CSI proxy was a stopgap solution since Windows didn't have privileged containers, and Windows now does have privileged containers. So
Got it.
The work on the SIG storage side would be getting mount utils to be able to mount stuff on the Windows, right?
correct.
Okay, cool.
Got it.
Yeah, and I'm just taking a look at the CSI proxy code base. The plan was to basically turn CSI proxy into a library, and then the CSI drivers can import the library, sort of like the mount utils that we have today.
It wouldn't just be in the existing mount utils?
I think the plan was to make it in the CSI proxy library and not the mount utils.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think that's helpful. The reason I was asking was because if somebody today decides to make some changes on the storage provider side to support it, it sounds like they will still need this work before this can really work. Is that accurate?
So I think
Yeah, go ahead.
in terms of the actual work, it seems like the code is there. The code is there, although I think it's not fully released. I see this V2 alpha tag, but I haven't seen an official V2 tag yet. So I think we can, we'll need to follow up with Mauricio, who was handling this.
Got it.
About the current status.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Cool, good question. Next up, we have node expansion secret. Any update on this one?
So Humble said the blog PR is ready for review. It's been reviewed. Doc is already merged.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one as done. I think it's pretty much there. Okay, next is SE Linux relabeling using mount options, CSI driver API change.
So code is merged, the documentation is merged, and block is on review.
Nice. Okay, I'll go ahead and mark that as done as well. Okay, next, these were placeholders for future releases, 128, 129. AWS EBS was done. Then this was a placeholder and Azure Disk was done. Let me make sure that's marked correctly. This was done. This was done. Okay, so then Ceph RBD beta off by default. Tests were merged. Anything new on this one?
This is, I think it's can be marked as done.
Awesome. Okay, I'll go ahead and mark this as done. And we'll move the rest of these to the next release. Control volume mode conversion between source and target PVC. Docs done, blog pending.
So
PR is out.
yeah, Ronak said he's not going to write a blog for this. There's
Got it.
nothing new. So it's this one can be marked as done as well.
Thank you, Xing. Next was tracking item for 128, so we'll skip over that. Other items were dropped here. So we got two more address issues. PVCs created by stateful set will not be auto removed. All code was previously merged, blog post pending and docs pending. Anything new here? Okay, I don't see Matt on the call, so let me mark this one as no update. Looks like it's getting close, since all we needed was the blog post and the docs. So I'm going to mark this as partially complete. And finally, we have volume expansion for stateful sets. I'm guessing no update on this one.
I've been seeing a lot of active discussion in Slack about this,
Oh, nice.
but I think, yeah, it's still very much in design phase.
Got it.
So the one
And there's one
before,
more.
there's the one before this, the robust volume manager reconstruction. I think that one
Oh,
is
yes.
done, right? Yeah.
Yeah, everything is merged, including documentation,
Awesome.
and there is no block.
Okay. That one is done. And I guess there was one more down here, non-graceful node shutdown, GA 128 tracking. Oh, so this was 128, so no worries there. Okay, so we can go ahead and switch back to our agenda doc. We've got two items here. One is from Jordan, one from Shane. Let me see if Jordan's on the line. I don't see him, so we'll skip over that for now and come back to it. Shing?
Yeah, so I brought this up in yesterday's data production one group meeting. So we're moving this volume mode conversion feature to beta in 1.27. Normally, if it's an in-tree feature, we will have the feature gate on by default, but this is auto tree, so we have flag control it on the sidecars. So we're thinking that we want to enable that by default in 1.28. So to give people more time, because for backup vendors who actually rely on this multi-mode conversion in their backup workflow, they actually need to make changes to support this. If we make this enable by default, then it's going to fail if they don't make any code changes. So I just want to bring this to everyone's attention. So yeah, basically we added this new field in the volume snapshot content, and if it's enabled, then this source volume mode will be set to the volume mode of the original PVC, and then we compare it when we create a PVC from volume snapshot. If they are not the same, then we will see if there is this annotation added to the volume snapshot content. If it's not there, it's not set to true, then it's going to fail.
What do you mean by in 128? Do you just mean the first release of the sidecars after
Oh.
128?
Right. So basically this will be, because we do async release, right? So we release sidecars after the Kubernetes release. So the next release will be like after 1.27 release, we'll be cutting release. But at that time, I don't think we're ready to make this change in our sidecar yet. So we'll
Yeah, so you
give
just mean the
release.
first sidecar release after 128, because I was going to say like they
Yeah,
aren't
yeah.
like officially synced or anything. Like there's no 128 version of the sidecars.
Yeah, I know it's yeah. Basically, it's a release after the 1.28. Yes.
Shing, can you talk a little bit about the specific use cases that this is trying to address? Like what kind of customer use case?
Yeah, I think this is more for backup vendors. I don't know if I think driver normally don't have this use case themselves. So backup drivers, they want to do efficient backups. They want to be able to use the change block tracking. So what happens is if they have a PVC provisioned, that is the file system mode. When they do a backup, they may you take a snapshot, and then they create a PVC from that volume snapshot. When they create that PVC, they actually change that mode to raw block. This way, they could retrieve the changed blocks for more efficient backups, and
Got
then
it.
copy the data. Yeah, that's the reason I know there are a few backup vendors doing this, and then there is some potential security concerns when you just if we allow anyone to make this change, there could be some problems. So that's why we added this. Only allow authorized users to do this conversion.
Got it. So the reason I was asking this question was because it wasn't clear to me if this was a request that was coming from like customers who are using Kubernetes and who are looking to do backups, or if it was something that that's being requested by, as you mentioned, like a backup vendor, somebody who offers backup capabilities and they want to offer that in a standardized way. So
this feature itself is not requested by backup vendor. It's just that backup vendor has this use case, right? They want to do this conversion. This use case already exists. But then when we look at this workflow, we identify there is some potential vulnerabilities. Even there is some kernel bugs, then it could be exploited by malicious users.
got it.
So this feature itself, yeah, it's more like make this a more safe way, right? So it's a use case that it is useful. It's a
right.
use case.
So that use case applies even to somebody who is running their own cluster and who wants to back up the data on that cluster on specific volumes and things like that. And they want a more efficient way of doing it, essentially.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, I don't see Jordan, but we can try to cover his item. So roadmap to N-3 node control plane skew support. What is in progress?
So-
SIG storage features, cleanups rely on this. Sorry, go ahead.
I could maybe give some background on this because I think I'm a little familiar with what's going on, but we're basically proposing to extend the kubelet to control plane version skew from N-2 to N-3. And that way it would allow folks to potentially only need to upgrade their nodes once a year. And so I think Jordan's question was mainly around, are there any storage features that might be impacted by extending, by making this change?
Yeah, that's a good question. We definitely have, our controllers that interact with each other, right? The attached detached controller runs on the control plane, sets bits that then the mount controllers will consume. That
Yeah.
said, whether it's N-2 or N-3, since we haven't been making massive changes on that code base, shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, the main thing that matters is the CSI migration and the removal of the code, because there we do have some special interaction between control plane and kubelets for CSI migration. And so our current plan was when CSI migration is GA, we can then remove the code 2 releases afterwards. So I think if, say, they extended the supported skew to 3, then that might potentially mean we have to delay the removal of the code one more release. But I think it really depends on which release they plan to start supporting this with.
Well, I think our answer to them, right, is that we need to wait until at least 126 has dropped off, because we did that for AWS, right? 125 was the GA and then 127 was the removal.
Yeah, and so I think it's going to depend on each specific CSI migration when they go GA. I think a lot of the ones that went GA in 125 or 126 should not be impacted. I think what we need to look at are the ones that have not gone GA yet, and what are their timelines.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, we could just wait an extra release on those, right?
Yeah, we can. But I think it has sort of trickle down effects with the whole dependency removals that overall the project is trying to work on. So I think that might impact maybe the like basically our timelines might impact or might influence when the Kubernetes project wants to move to this N-3 model.
Got it.
Cool. Any other areas we can brainstorm in terms of things that could be impacted by this? Okay, I'll go ahead and tag Jordan on this, and then we'll see if he comes back with any more questions. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, folks, for the discussion on that. Any other items to discuss today? Okay. If there's nothing else, we will get a half hour back. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.